Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Make the Jump here from the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network in this collaborative episode. Of course, you guys have been listening to the Jedi Code series between Rebel Cause, Rebel Chatter Lancaster, and the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network. And guess what? It's a very special episode here within the series. Of course, sitting with me is Mr. Caden Stetler. And Caden, who do you have with you this evening?
Well, today, I guess I'll let him do his own introduction. Take it away. Take it away, sir.
Oh, I don't know if I can. All right. Yes. Hi, I'm James Farbo.
From Rebel Cause Lancaster.
From Rebel Cause Lancaster, and Farbo Co.
Nice.
Why don't you, real quick, tell us a little bit about Farbo Co. Everybody knows about Brick City and Rebel Cause and all that, but maybe not everybody knows about Farbo Co. Give us your little 10-second spiel.
Well, Farbo Co. is a small downtown Lancaster games and hobbies boutique.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Which Lancaster is lacking.
Yes.
For sure.
Downtown Lancaster needs a game store.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm working on it.
So today is kind of the middle episode of our Jedi Code breakdown. I guess we can kind of announce today we are going to do the Code of the Sith after this.
Yes.
So it's fitting. The middle episode is about balance. And today we're going to kind of break down, the balance of our lives, I guess, with the fandom and podcasting and running Farbo Co. and real life stuff like work and all that. Yeah, exactly. Our alter egos, or our Clark Kent of our lives. Yeah.
Glasses.
So exactly. So, Robin, why don't you start it off, man? How do you find a balance between fandom, podcasting, and your day job?
I don't. It's utter chaos, and every time I try to turn around, no, I'm kidding. It's not that bad.
All right, well, we have the same answer. The podcast is over, folks.
It's one of those things, guys, that I wake up every day, and I just make a list for myself mentally. I say, okay, I got to get through my day job. Number one, I come home, I'm going to do my college, and then it's podcasting time. You almost have to organize yourself. And for me, what it's always been, especially when I took off that 1 year of college to start BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network, for me, it was, I'm taking college off right now to build up this podcast network. It is work and it is this. These are my two focuses. Add college to that equation. Now you have three things you have to balance. So that was really the adjustment for me, was trying to find, as we're saying here in this episode, the balance in life to make sure that everything works harmoniously and everything works the way that it should, so that you're able to be who you want to be while keep maintaining balance and doing the things that you're passionate about. So for me specifically, every day I wake up and make sure to prioritize my day as this, so I can get to this. I think that's how you have to do it mentally. I know everybody else has their own unique way of doing it, and all different formulas work in the grand scheme of life. But at the same time, we have to find that balance, and there's a unique way of doing it. And whether you want to take my personal example as a one way to do it, obviously there's two other gentlemen sitting across from me who have their ways of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. The list thing is big with me. When I know there's stuff I need to do with Rebel Cause, I definitely put it on the list. And, obviously work comes first. You got to pay the bills and all that. And it's great to try and find, like we're talking about, that balance between this, Rebel Cause for me and Rebel Chatter, my work and my girlfriend. But luckily, my girlfriend's pretty cool about all the Star Wars stuff. Most of the time. I think sometimes she gets, okay, can we watch anything else maybe? Maybe something not Star Wars? That'd be great. But, hey. I corrupted her to the dark side here a little bit, so it works. But the list is definitely a big thing. You set goals for yourself during the day, and you accomplish them. And I think one of the biggest things about finding the balance is, if you don't get everything done that you wanted to do, it's okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's always tomorrow.
It's not.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But it is, James. It'll be okay. But
there were no survivors.
But the biggest thing for me is I always want it to be fun. You know what I mean? And the point when now there obviously is some stuff that I have more responsibilities with it, with the charity aspect and contracts with certain groups and all that type of stuff. But I always want it to be enjoyable. I don't ever want to look at it and like I'm doing this as a chore, which I very far from that. I enjoy podcasting and doing what we do at Rebel Cause and all that. But yeah, James, why don't you put some of your thoughts down? This is going to be the interesting point of view, I'm sure.
Balance and I don't get along too well, but I've gotten better at it.
That's good.
As I've simmered down in my old age of 31. I've always, the way I've kind of survived my life so far, I can't do lists. I can't be like the other thing you were telling me earlier. It's like, well, if you're gonna work from home, dress like you would go to work, and then work from home. Like
routine.
I don't want to wear pajama pants, and I can't wear pajama pants to work. So what I try and do with balance is try to establish a series of like high stress protocols, like things that I can fall, like when I am the flaming wreckage of a human being, I can those last break points, I hit them and I go, okay, well,
up from here is the only option.
Yeah, I mean, my hobbies keep me sane, and it's weird that I'm turning my hobbies into a profession because I've done this before. It didn't end well.
Yeah.
No, it did not. If you ever, I briefly hated games because they were my livelihood. So this time I'm like, okay, I learned from that, and so I'm not gonna have it be that way again. So yeah, the hobbies keep me when I'm at my wit's end. When there's nothing left, I just open up the DS and I play Animal Crossing. That's my balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just try and have things in place for when everything else has gone wrong. I have this one thing, and when it stops working, I try and go to the next thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So being an unbalanced individual, a dangerous sociopath with a history of violence that I am, in lieu of balance, I have things I can go to and just be like, okay, this will do its thing.
Yeah. And I think one of my biggest things as well is, because of Rebel Cause, whether it's working on, actual charity stuff, whether it's working on, making contacts with people, whether it's podcasting, sometimes I'm just like, okay, I don't feel like Star Wars today. You know what I mean? Like there's some days that you're looking at me skeptically. Victoria and Kate are both in the room. So Victoria's looking at me very skeptically, but there are days where I'm just like, I'm gonna step away from stuff. Okay, mention it, but really in-depth stuff, whatever it is. There are definitely days that I step away from it, and that is okay to do. You know what I mean? You need to give yourself that mental break. Like, okay, I'm not going to do any podcasting stuff today. I'm not going to touch Rebel Cause stuff today, because when you get overwhelmed with it, you're not doing your best work.
Right.
And then you start hating it as well.
Exactly.
No, I have a really interesting question for James, because it's interesting because I always looked at podcasting. It is a passion. It is something that I love to do. It's a hobby of mine. I mean, I'm somebody who always grew up wanting to be a broadcaster. I was in a young broadcasters program. I was always working on my voice. I always found myself in front of a screen and a television and in front of a camera at all times throughout my life. And it was a hobby for quite some time, and taking that to the next level has been such an interesting journey. And James, as somebody who has taken their hobby, and somebody who you said here has experienced kind of going in and out of it, like the first experience with it wasn't so great from the sounds of it, but you want to keep going back to it because it's like, I want to get that feeling again. I want to try to really push this thing to the next level so that my hobby is something that I can kind of reflect upon each day and say, you know what? I'm able to really enjoy this as more than just a hobby. It's a passion of mine. Caden and I talked about it on one of these episodes, is passion and how that drives us. So for you, James, I'm fascinated by this because I think you're the first person that I've heard that has taken that to the next level in that sort. And how did you get to that realization of that? Because I feel like other people out there want to know how you got there.
I can actually talk about the moment when I decided, because I reflect on that sometimes, and I go, "That's the moment."
Yeah.
I pulled. Okay, I was at a game store outside of Lancaster. I won't name any names because it wasn't a pleasant experience.
Right.
The owner was yelling at me because of dumb reasons, and so I just stood up from the chair and went, "Fine, I'll start my own game store," and I stormed off. Never returned. And then I didn't immediately go from that into planning it.
Mm-hmm.
I was just angry and bender, like I'll start my own game store, blackjack and hookers. You know what? Forget the game store. And so time went on. I was doing the school thing and for business, and I was like, well, what if I just start my own? And Kate was there for the impending disaster that was War and Pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess everyone just has to find their own moment where it's, all right, it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. Any plan that begins with waiting is doomed to failure.
It's true.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because that's really how we started Rebel Cause too.
Make it so.
It's just like, all right, we're just gonna do this. Let's do it. We're doing it like next weekend. Whatever it was. How many days between us actually planning it and starting it? And it was nerve wracking, obviously.
It's almost impulsive.
Yeah, you just have to do it, and we just did it. And
Kate's making faces.
Yeah.
I'm not impulsive. I'm not impulsive. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wow.
I didn't have to return a $500 drone.
Yeah, you did.
Whoa.
But you know what? When you do something like that, obviously it is something you're passionate about if you're doing it impulsively, because you've obviously put some thought behind it previously.
Right.
Maybe at least on my. Anyway, James.
I had ideas.
Yeah, but anyway, that's what we did with Rebel Cause. We just did it, and you know what? It was very nerve-wracking. We were do it, but the payoff was fantastic. When people actually showed up and expressed interest in what we were doing, that's the best reward there is.
There's a lot to that. I mean, I can reflect on that with Brick City as well, Caden and James. It was February 16th, 2016, when I literally woke up that morning. And of course, we're coming upon 2 years at BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network. And the fascinating thing about that is that I just woke up and Sean and I were talking the night before about our experiences.
Hold on, Robin. Yeah. Robin, hold on. I'm so sorry. What date did you say?
February 16th.
Ours is February 17th. I'm not even kidding. I have a picture here. That our first event was the day after that.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. It's like the force binds us together or something.
Spooky. Anyway,
that's
sorry.
Weird. Yeah, sorry, but I just needed that to be known.
Listen,
what are you getting up for?
There's a reason that things happen. There's a reason that things happen. But it was literally that next day, February 16th, that I woke up. I was talking with, like I said, I was talking with Sean the night before about our experience with The Force Awakens. And literally, I would love to find that message that I sent him. And I said, dude, do you want to start a Star Wars podcast? Because I feel like we just have these discussions anyway. We just spent the last 3 nights probably speaking for 6 hours in a row just talking about our experience with The Force Awakens. Why don't we just sit down and record this thing? And Sean said, heck yeah, when do you want to start this thing? And that's how it jump-started. That's how episode 1 was born. And that's how we got to where we are today. And I think you guys, obviously, literally being the next freaking day from that, that's the roots of it. There's a reason for these things happening, and there is that moment. James, you said it perfectly. There's that moment that we just sit back, and it's the moments where listen. I still look back on that day, and I still look back on me sending that message, and it's like, you know what? I didn't know where it was going to go at that point. Maybe Sean would have said no, but I wouldn't have known it until I did that. And for James, for you, it was until you stood up and you said, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. That was the moment for you. And Caden, for you, it was sitting down and saying, you know what? I want to do this thing and executing that. Execution is huge. It is what pushes us forward and what allows us to progress in every single way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. But the most important thing about anything that you do with these projects is the balance.
That's right. The balance itself. And that's perfect. I think for all of our listeners out there, both Rebel Cause, Rebel Chatter listeners and followers and people who follow BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network, that's what all of this encompasses. It's just such a much larger message that balance is what keeps everything going and allows us to explore so many different areas in life and allows us to be passionate about what we do in every way possible. So keep on with the positivity, everybody. Make sure that you're following that in every way possible. Well,
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're about to introduce James to a little something something special here at the network.
I don't
Rob,
know if James. Yeah, I don't. It's a little thing we like to call plug time.
Oh, plug
time. Go first, James.
My name is James.
No.
Well,
Farbo Co. things.
I run Farbo Co. Small games and hobby boutique in downtown Lancaster. You can find us on Instagram at Farbo Co. You can find us on Facebook at Farbo Co. And find us at farboco.com.
Perfect.
Much more keen on the branding this time.
Yeah,
War and Pieces was a terrible name.
No.
It's a typographical nightmare.
Oh, jeez. And you can find Rebel Cause Lancaster on Facebook at Rebel Cause Lancaster and on Instagram under the same name. You can find Rebel Chatter, the official podcast of Rebel Cause, at rebelchatter.com and at Rebel Chatter HQ on Twitter.
You guys can follow me over on Twitter at Mr. Vote Tweets. Please make sure, head on over to Instagram, follow all of my tomfoolery over there at the official vote. Please make sure to head on over to www.brickcityblockade.com for everything happening in a galaxy far, far away. And also, you know the spiel, guys. Head on over to iTunes, hit that subscribe button, rate and comment, even if it's on Google Play. And let me say this, please. I love everything that Farbo Co. is doing on social media. I love everything that James is doing with all of his passions. Please make sure to follow everything that he's doing across social media, including Instagram. I'm liking those posts left and right. He's doing some wonderful stuff. Here at the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network, we love supporting Farbo Co., and we're going to continue to do that into the near future and into what hopes to be our existence in a galaxy far, far away at some point. Thank you, Elon Musk, for making that possible. I guess we'll see where that goes. Thank you guys so much for listening here to the Jedi Code series. A little bit of a special between Rebel Chatter, Rebel Cause Lancaster, and the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network. And as we always say, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Thank you. Always. Yeah.